So I started coaching at 17. I suffered with body dysmorphia, self-doubt, that still bully kid was still there. I lost my eyesight when I was young. So I'm very auditory. Every club wants your champions, but it's the lives that you change. They're the real gold medals to you.
You've got the hoodie on, Black Country Blokes. We have mentioned Black Country Blokes. What do you think makes you a good coach?
So you have to believe in the process and in the coach's plan.
He has just 10% vision. He was bullied as a teenager and battled with anxiety and depression. And yet, Kevin Dillon has built a nationally respected boxing gym, coaching champions and changing lives for over 20 years. This isn't just a story about boxing. It's about mindset. It's about beating self-doubt and pushing through when life stacks the odds against you. Regardless of your background, you will benefit from this interview. Kevin shares simple, powerful tools you can apply to your life, like mastering communication through listening and using simplicity to sharpen your skills. I hope you enjoy this interview. And now, without further ado, let's get boxing. Kevin, I saw your short YouTube Shorts clip last week, and I thought, when I was preparing for the interview, I thought it was really timely. In that clip, you're talking about conversation, and you talk about the fact that people these days, generally speaking, we talk at each other as opposed to actually having a conversation. And I think in this context, I thought, how timely is that? So I just want to ask you, like, what inspired you to make that short clip, and why do you think, what inspired you to do the clip?
The only way that we can beat ignorance is I've got to be able to ask questions, but then listen to the answer. And sometimes nowadays there is no opinion, there's only the truth. Instead of going, well, I've got an opinion on this, or if through my experience I've learnt this, but too many people are too busy ramming their truth down your throat instead of going, there's that old saying, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I should be used in that order. I already know what I know. The only way I can learn more is by listening. But we're too busy barking about what we apparently know.
Why do you think that is? What do you think it's social media? Do you just think it's do you just think people are just so consumed by their work and busy lifestyles that they just don't have that time for people?
I think people are just so self-indulgent. We believe that we matter more than we do. And my opinion, I've got to convince the world that I'm right. Sometimes you just got to agree to disagree. And just sometimes just think, at what cost being right is going to cost me everything? Does that make sense? It's like, I'm going to shout my way into going, who's your favourite boxer? Muhammad Ali. Well, you idiot. I think it was Lennox Lewis. And you go, well, we're allowed to have opinions. You go, yes, Lennox Lewis had a great job. Muhammad Ali had this. Mike Tyson had that. But it's called personal preference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Why have we got to fall out over something? We could just go, well, that's great. Congratulations.
Have you ever experienced or had people falling out of something so trivial?
Well, if you look at COVID that's in recent memory. You're an idiot if you get vaccinated. You're an idiot if you don't get vaccinated. But you'd had like lifelong friends who are falling out. Instead of going, I will make my decision. I personally...
And then having that respect.
Yeah. I got vaccinated so I could open up my club, so my daughter could see the grandparents. So I did what I thought was best. Whereas I didn't allow my daughter to be vaccinated because I didn't know what was going to happen with her fertility and everything else. But me, as the head of the family, I took it on my shoulders to do what I thought was right. The same when people wore masks. Well, you're an idiot for wearing it in the supermarket. You're an idiot for not wearing it. If that makes you feel better, then do it. Who am I to bully you into my narrative? If it makes you feel safe, embrace it. It's your life.
No, absolutely. And I think also at the heart of this is compassion, isn't it? Because I might feel that your decision say, for example, not to wear a mask or to wear a mask is wrong for whatever reason, but then I need to stop and think that you've made that decision based on what you know.
It's like
And you might not have as much knowledge or as much awareness or life experience that I've had. So I think compassion really comes into that.
and if we were in somewhere, we're in here now, and you said, Kev, I'm a bit worried. Would you mind wearing a mask? I would then go, of course I will. If I make you, I wouldn't then show going, well, it's my right not to wear a mask. If you asked me to do it, I would do it. Or if it was, I lip read, would you mind taking your mask off so I can understand you? Is that compassion around it? Isn't it that bit of love and kindness that gets us? Out of everything that is contagious, wouldn't it be lovely if love and kindness was?
Yeah, no, so true. You just mentioned lip read. Can you tell us?
I can't lip read. I was just saying as a thing. I can't.
Oh, okay.
Because my eyes are so bad. Like, because as you know, I lost my eyesight when I was young, so I'm very auditory. Because like my eyes are, for those who don't know, I'm completely blind in my left eye. I've got 10% vision in my right eye. I lost my vision to viral meningitis when I was 3. It attacked the optic nerve. So my eye's perfect. The brain's all right. But if you could imagine a plastic wire, the optic neurosis at the plastic, so the message comes out and leaks through the holes. So only part messages get to my brain.
Right, okay.
That's why I'm visually impaired. So
and is that on? Also, that's
so my left eye's blind, but it attacked both optic nerves. That's why I can't see in my left eye and my right eye so bad. Because I've meningitis. If it had been picked up sooner, my eyesight would have come back when I was 6 or 9. Because it wasn't, it just never come back. But that's what life is, you know. It is what it is. So I've got very poor vision, but I'm very good on voice tone and body language. I can't tell you your eye colour, but I'm very acute of seeing how people stand, how they walk, how they move. Because that become like my eyesight, reading people how they are. So it's, if that makes sense, it's like with lip reading, you learn how to follow the lips. Me, I body read.
Yeah.
I see the shape of bodies, and like even with boxing, because I couldn't compete because of my eyes, but I was very good at reading how the shot, if the shoulder twitched or if the hand twitched, I knew a shot was coming. So I was looking at the subtle changes in how the body moved before I got it.
So it sounds like you've harnessed the 10%, the vision that you have in that eye, that you've absolutely harnessed that to maximum.
We have to in life, don't you? You have to play towards your strengths,
which is I find really interesting. So you got 10% vision. What made you then in those circumstances? And my heart goes out to you, and I can empathise with your situation. What makes Kevin Dillon decide that he wants to pursue boxing?
Well, my dad, Bob Dillon, he was a GB coach for 20 years, but he used to run the Worley Amateur Boxing Club. I love boxing, from a boxing family. Loved it ever since I was walking. You know, in our day, there wasn't videos, was there? You know, nowadays it'd all be on everyone's phone.
Yeah.
You know, back then you'd have a video cameras like the BBC. But ever since, like, Dad could remember, he was on his knees teaching me to box. Before I lost my eyes at 3, to always boxing.
So before the whole meningitis happens.
Yeah.
Your dad's Bob's there on his knees.
Yeah.
Training Kev.
All my life, ever since then. But then when I lost my eyes at 3, like, people say, can you remember seeing before you lost it? I was 3.
Yeah.
It was like 38 years ago. I've seen everything. Like, if I was on a desert island, I'd think I can see normal. It's only until you go, you can't. Because you only know what you know, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you live in your world, you think this is normal because it's normal to you. Like, if you lost your eyesight now, you would have a lot to compare it to.
Yeah.
And I was talking about that before we went to the boxing. I was talking about that the other day to someone. They went, I was like, it would break my heart for you to lose your eyes because you know everything that you're missing. And so I said, but what's worse? He got to box, whereas you never got to box, but you only miss what you knew. I was resentful that I never got to box, like Quinton, my best man in the world, and all these were boxing, and I was better than them, and I was training with them. I felt resentment for those who I love so much because they got to do what I did.
So is that where your kind of downward spiral kicks in?
What downward spiral? I mean,
if I've got that right,
no,
forgive me if I'm making assumptions here. It's just I'm trying to link the dots, because you've mentioned resentment, and you've mentioned having this sort of jealousy. You've mentioned it before. I've heard it on one of your social medias, or just in the gym. You've mentioned it when we're in the huddle. So I'm just trying to, and I've always wondered, like, because you were earlier saying that it happened at 3, so you don't remember what it's like having full proper vision. So is it at that point where you're training, you're there, training, you feel like you're as good, if not as better, than the people you're training around? Is that when that kind of jealousy, resentment?
But it's because I had such a great family, and I was encouraged to do and to fail. And my dad once said, he goes like, "Kevin, be careful, you'll fall over." And I looked back and I said, "But I'll get back up, Daddy." That was my whole outlook, and I was encouraged to do it. And if I failed, it was okay, because I was surrounded by love from my parents, my brother, my grandparents. But then as you start getting older and you're aware that you can't do stuff as well as everyone else, you do start getting a bit angry and fed up, and then you become a teenager and it's very pushed in your face, and then having nasty people say nasty things. And then when you couldn't compete in the sport that you love the most, then you believe, to be a man, I can't box, but by God, I can fight. So you start fighting because you think that's what a man is. And then you get down that rabbit hole of what a man should be. And it's not what you should be, but what you interpret a man as being. And then you find yourself just angry and bitter. And then you find yourself using drugs and drinking to fill the void with stuff. And then one day I was doing media studies at Stourbridge College, because I was going to be a poet, I was going to be an author and a journalist. And my dad said, "Well, why don't you become a coach?" I went, "But Dad, I couldn't compete." He goes, "But who knows more about boxing than you do? You've lived, drank, been around it all your life." So I started coaching at 17, passed my level 1 at 18. But even then, I started off with a bloke called Simon Spencer. We started off the 5 o'clock class, the baby class, because I didn't have the confidence.
Was Lion set up at this point?
Yeah, we set up in 2000. So I started coaching in 2002, and I started coaching, and I brought the baby class on, because a lot of people, you start being a coach, and you'll know this, and every coach you've seen up there, you go from, I'm a new coach, but I want to work with Osama, Connor Jones, but they're already created. You start off by creating your own champions, teaching them how to do your boxing stance, because then before you know it, they're your babies who become your men, who become your champions. So I created my own champions, the Ricky Whiteheads, the Gary Southpaws, the Connor Joneses, but they started through the baby class and they become your champions. But it was learning, because when you get in there, you think, well, how about if I won't see it? How about if I'm in the corner and I don't see something? How about if I miss it because of my eyes? I was still hostage to my disability. But then you've got your hand, you've got your second, and if he sees something, you go, Kev, he's got a cut, his nose, because I wouldn't necessarily see that. But your second guides you. My job is to educate them in the corner. And most of the hard work is created in the gym, not in the corner. Really, in the corner, it's have a swill of water, you're walking onto the backhand, get your hands in the right place, stop crossing your feet. You've got 40 seconds to give them a couple of gems. All the hard work goes into the gym. But sometimes when you've had them consistently in the gym, they want you to be that reassuring comfort blanket in the corner. But I learned that early, create your champions in the gym. But then as I developed over my decades of boxing, to have the courage to be in the corner with them.
So you've been inspired by Bob
and Big John
and Big John
Shakespeare
to go into coaching. Did you at any point, once you start your journey, did you ever have second? Did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever think, I can't do this? Or did you just hit the ground running? Because I'll say it. You know, you're a natural.
Mm.
Did you sort of feel that when you started, or
No,
did
not
you?
at all. When I first started, because once again, I was 18, and sorry, from my baby class, but then you're teaching people of my age, older, and old veterans, and you think, well, who am I couldn't compete in boxing. So
Yeah,
who am I to tell them, even though I'd sparred hundreds of rounds or I've done this and I've been around it, but you're thinking, well, who am I? Because you date yourself. Cause I suffered with body dysmorphia. I suffered with self-doubt, and that still bully kid was still there, and you question yourself.
I'm sure you're enjoying this video, so please do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Now back to the interview.
So, what's that? Bloody hell. So, imposter syndrome. Who am I? My dad was great, and Big John was great, and Johnny Dix was great, but who am I? And you question that. And you learn by success. You learn by failure and succeeding.
What kept you in it?
I love characters, and I love being around different people and listening to their stories. And as you know, boxing's so great because you have some from Pakistan, from Yemen, through Irish traveller to white British to, and I love all the characters from all different ages of classism and meeting people. It's the people that kept me in the game. What's almost pushed me out the game is incompetence. And when you're there and you've been robbed, you've gone to ABA finals and you've missed weddings and birthdays, and you've got all your time and you have your pants pulled down, or a bad decision, or the parents who flipping heck, he needed more pads, or why didn't you give him more sparring, or and you're thinking we're doing it for sod all. You're giving up all your time, and nothing's ever enough for some people.
Yeah,
and they forget you're doing it for sheer love, and sometimes you love that child more than his parents love him. You're giving up 5 days a week, plus your weekends, for children. Then all of a sudden, they don't want to box no more. Or they go pro, and they drop you out like that. And any coach here, you will love your boxer more than they will love you. And you give up all your life for them, and then all of a sudden, they don't want to box no more. And you find out on Facebook, or you find out on, and you think you didn't even have the common courtesy to say, you know what, Kev, I just don't want to do this no more, or I'm married, and that breaks your heart.
How do you just get on with it, not overthink it?
You have to develop thick skin, because it hurts, and some people hurt more than others. Some people, you know, they're not going to be with you for life, but others, you're thinking, I'll be there at his wedding, I'll be a godfather to his children, and then when they just go, Kaiser Solze, disappear, it does hurt. And sometimes you do so much, and then they go, oh, I'm going to another boxing club. Just give me the respect that I give you. Tell me. Don't let me find out on Facebook, or someone, the other coach lets me know. Because boxers forget. I've known the coaches for a long time. You might have 2 seasons in the game, but me and the Prior, and me and Old Hill, me and Brooklands, me and Wolverhampton, me and Impact, we've known each other for 25 years. You know, so we're good friends as well. So we don't keep secrets from each other. And if you've left me and gone there, then let me know.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you leave,
it's happened so many times, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it so many times.
And then a boxer will try and stir the pot, going, oh, Kevin's saying this was, or he's saying this, Macca. And going, well, if I had that to say to them, I'll pick up the blower and talk to them. Yeah. And the boxer doesn't realise that, because he's only got a very short span in boxing, where we've got a lifetime in the game.
Yeah. So if you're a boxer thinking about changing gyms, think twice.
Leave the club, but do it as a man or a woman. Say, Nico, you know what? Thank you for all the time you've put into me. But at times, I'm going to go and try the Lions. I'm going to go and try these clubs. And then if it doesn't work out, the door's always open.
Yeah. It's how you do it.
How you do it.
You know, there's no problem, there's no issue in people changing clubs.
No.
But it's having that common courtesy, isn't it? It's
respect.
Just that kindness and respect. So I think that's the key. So I mean, what I'm getting, on the one hand, you've obviously got to deal with all of these you know, the politics side of it. You have your self-doubts when you first come into coaching, because of your eye situation, and then but then despite these two gremlins, monsters,
Mm.
you've kept, you've stayed dedicated to the sport and to coaching
Mm.
for the big part because of the people. Yes, there is, it's like we're humans. There's a good side to us and there's a bad side, and to me it sounds like that you've just sort of focused on the good side, the positivity that people bring to the gym. Like you mentioned, people from all sorts of walks of life, in terms of class, ethnicity, sex, gender, sex, and that, am I right in thinking that that's what's kept you? That's been the gel that's kept you at the gym, and then over time you've seen your successes, and that's just kept you going, and hence why we're sitting here today.
Well, I mean, yeah, your Midlands champions, your ABA champions are great. Everyone wants them. Every club wants your champions. But it's the lives that you change. They're the real gold medals to you. Like the people I've now got who've tried to take their lives and they've become coaches or they're ex-addicts or, he's no longer with us, Ashley Nixon. I always said it was my best gold medal. This toe rag who was expelled from school and he'd come to us with through connections. We got him boxing. Then he got involved in drugs. He went to jail. And he come back in and said, "You saved my life." And we got him boxing again. Then he said, while I was in jail, I found religion. So I become a pastor. So I working in the church. And then obviously we lost him because the system failed him. But you can only do what you can do. But wherever Ash was, he knew he had the love of the Lions. Absolutely, and he said that was the courage that he had to then become a pastor. But it's what community does, whether it's football, rugby, religion, boxing. When you've got someone with like-minded souls who love you and they're there for you when you're bad, they're there for when you're good, that's what we need, is love. It's love that binds us together. And it's giving people these life lessons of resilience. I mean, one of our boxers, no doubt I'll talk about him quite a lot, Gaz Southpaw, people say, were you nervous when you went for that job interview? He goes, job interview? Because I remember boxing in Liverpool and the only people out there was Kev, Big John and Bob. He goes, and everyone else was Scousers. He went, that was frightening. He goes, going to a job interview. He goes, the worst thing they can say is no. But it gives that resilience through life, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it's funny. Well, I'm not surprised you're saying it, because we've had like boxers on here before, the likes of Super Zayn and Sam, and they've pretty much said. I mean, you've spoken their words, word for word, and that's what they say. That you have that. You get in that boxing ring and you're sparring, or especially when you go out in a fight, like Sam talks about when he went to Wales. It's like you go through that experience. There's nothing that phases you outside of the ring. So I mean, that it's just demonstrates just the power and the resilience that you get out of what you get when you really push yourself and take yourself to a limit.
But you are there in Liverpool, Wales, Timbuktu. You're fighting, but you know someone's got your back. So if you are hurt or in danger, you know that towel's coming in because he's not going to let you get hurt. Yeah, and boxing's a volatile game, no matter which way we dress it up. But if there's nothing worse than a brave coach, when you're having a flogging and he's not looking after you, you should be there to protect your boxer. Whether that's a schoolboy, a junior, a youth, a senior, open class, elite, your job is to make sure they get home safe.
Would I be right in thinking that for you, the most enjoyable part of coaching is that community? Is about the someone like Ashley, someone like that comes into the ring and you change his or her life. Is that the most enjoyable part for you when it comes to coaching, or is that
one of them?
Oh, but that's one.
I love it. I love it when you've made someone better than when they came in. I love that, and then they pass on that love. And if they can pass on that knowledge and that love and that kindness to someone else, it's making a better day. But also like learning. You know what I mean? I love learning about, like, when someone's telling me about Ramadan or when one of the travellers is telling something. Because I'm thinking, I'm in such a lucky position where I can find out about it is to live in Yemen, how it is to live in Zimbabwe, how it is to live on a traveller's site, because where else do we get that kind of interaction with so many cultures? It's not like a Channel 4 special. There's no hidden agenda to make us like Muslims or like Jews or hate these people or they're different. You go, why? Why is that? How does that make you feel? And you're going, this is the honest reaction to how I feel, not how my people feels. How I feel in this situation. And they'll go, wow. And then I've learned something, because once again, that's how we eradicate ignorance.
Absolutely.
By not being frightened to ask a question, listen to the answer and go, wow, I didn't know that. And maybe I've been saying something ignorantly, not on purpose. I just didn't know any better. But now I know better. I've changed.
What else do you enjoy about coaching?
I love the pad work. I mean, a lot of times, because I'm up there all day, every day, I'm shattered, I'm battered, I'm bruised. But anyone can lean over the ropes and watch people spar. I love being interactive with people and have that intimacy of going, tuck your elbow in, your weight's in the wrong place, and giving them something to work on, giving them stuff to work on in the gym, out the gym, giving them things to work on. And how I like to do my one-to-ones is we do it till you've got it right, because we can do it 100 times and do it 99 times perfectly. That one, the time that we do it wrong, we put ourselves on the cross. So we focus on the negative instead of focusing on the good, thinking, you know what, I've hit that left up brilliant, so let's have a rest. So I let my body and my mind realise how great it was to do it right. Then we go back to it. So focus on positives instead of negatives. Because the world's such a hard place that we're always told how rubbish we are to embrace when we do something right.
I think this is the right segue to ask you, and you've probably just touched on it, but what is your style of coaching? What's your philosophy? If you had to put that in a sentence, how would you sum it up?
Simplicity, because there's a lot of people who like making stuff complicated to pad their own ego. Big words only work if you're understanding big words. You've got to talk to people in language they understand. And I always say, if I've explained it wrong, it's not your fault, it's mine, because I haven't explained it right to you. So put things in people's language that they understand, and positive reinforcement. If you're naughty, you need a telling off. But if you don't understand, you're not being naughty, you just don't understand. And you become that fit kid like I was in the back of class. If I keep putting my hand up, you keep shouting at me, what do? I stop putting my hand up. So it's putting it in a place where I'm comfortable to ask questions, listen to a language I understand, and then when I've done it right, give me a bit of praise.
No, it's like they say, isn't it? There's no question. That's a silly question. So it's just about understanding who you're dealing with. And then having that, giving that confidence to whoever you're coaching or a group of people, to give them the confidence to say, look, you can ask me as many times as you want.
And learn how people are, because some people walk towards pleasure, some people walk away from pain. And it's knowing that in the corner, you've got some lads and you're going, you're winning this, champ, you're doing ever so well. Keep this going. He needs that positive reassurance. Whereas other people are going, you're going to give this away. You're going to let him come and take your title away. But one doesn't work with the other. If you give that kid positive, oh yeah, I'm doing well then, it hasn't lit his fire. Whereas the other kid, if you give him a rollicking, he'll have a belly full. So it's learning your audience, and you learn that by being with them. That's the beauty of training in the gym and taking them into the ring. Because if you haven't worked with him in the gym, you don't know what lights his fire. So you need to know that person going, if I give, I don't know, Jeff a telling off, he's going to have a cry. But if I don't give Don a telling off, he's not going to go. So you need to know your people.
This comes back to communication. I mean, from the very start of this conversation, we were talking about communication, and I think we're saying the same thing, but in just a different way. Because if you don't have that ability to understand your coachee, your fighter, and you lack those communication skills, and that those is essentially emotional intelligence, isn't it? I think that's what communication is about.
And the language you're using.
You're using.
Boom, bap, boom. To anyone out here who doesn't know Bob and everything, but everyone knows boom, bap, boom in the gym. But you need to, like, if we're boom ba booming, but then if someone says zigzag, what the flipping next to zigzag?
Exactly.
But you know the language, he knows your language, and that's part of it, that communication, because you've got a minute, but really by the time you've walked over, I've taken your dummy out, I'll give you a swill, you've got 40 seconds to give clear instructions that you can work with.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's got to be short and sweet.
So, do you think there's talking about fighters? What are the transferable skills, if any, in your opinion, can a boxer, an amateur boxer, take from their boxing career to coaching?
To coaching, but I love it when I get one of the boxers and I'll say, go and take him on the pads, because before you know it, you've got me then. You're going, Kev, get your front foot closer. Kev, keep your hands up. But sometimes you go in, I'm on my front foot, my hands are down. But by coaching him, I'm coaching myself, because you know the answers. But saying it out loud, you go, flipping heck, I do that. I reach, or when I'm there, my hand's down here, and keep your hand up. It is up. No, that's up by you. Think, oh, flipping heck. Well, I'm having to coach him. I'm having to work out the answers in my own head. So I'm coaching twice. I'm having to find the knowledge in my head to verbalise it, to tell him, and put it into a language that he understands. And if he does understand it, I've got to find a way that he does understand it.
And then that reinforces. I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? That as a boxer then reinforces.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a really good tip. So if you are, an active boxer, try a bit of pads coaching. Ask Kevin. Do you know what I mean? Get involved. How about like once your career is over, that what skills do you think you can take from boxing to coaching?
Giving your experience and saying like, when they go like, oh, I feel nervous, go, everyone's nervous. Talk about the emotions around boxing as well as just the skills. Because it's like, how did I feel when I was here? How was the drive home? How was it when I lost? How was it when I got stopped? So give those experiences going, it happens. It happens. You do feel nervous. Everyone in this room is nervous. Give them the knowledge of how good your diet sheet was, or how you did your diet completely wrong. Well, back in my day, we had to get sweatsuits on and we wouldn't eat for 4 days. We're going, well, that was barbaric. And as soon as I had a glass of water, I was putting the foods back in to say, we did everything wrong back in our day, but you guys know better now. And is there any tricks of the trade that you learnt on your journey? Yeah.
So it's just sharing your experience. Having that experience. How about like the technical side of stuff?
Just because you're a good boxer doesn't mean you can be a good coach, or vice versa. It can be that saying like, I used to jab like this, but I used to get pinged. So keep your elbows in. You've got to realise Lennox Lewis couldn't box like Ali. Ali couldn't box like Tyson. You've got to work with the dog that they are and navigate that. You can't necessarily make all your boxers box how you boxed, because you might be Lennox Lewis, you might be Mike Tyson. But as long as the balance and the shape is correct, it doesn't matter what style you are. But it's educated.
So in that situation, would you be okay with him keeping his hand down?
You've got to suit what suits that boxer. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But if it's not working, change it. Because you've got people who try to box like Floyd Mayweather, but he was a freak of nature, like Roy Jones was. People can't do what he did, but I want to box like this, but you can't.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is YouTube. People watch clips, and they like, obviously Mayweather's a massive name, and they just try to imitate it.
But it's like, no matter how much weight I do, I can't punch like Deontay Wilder. Someone has put whatever in him. There's no drill in the world that can make you punch that hard. There's no drill in the world that can make you box like him. There's no drill in the world that can make you box like Prince Naseem. They are just abnormally gifted. What we can do is basic drills of where my elbow should be, where my weight should be, not crossing the feet. But like, if you had a Prince Naseem, you would do all the drills, but he was brilliant at what he did. You know what I mean? You could do all the drills that takes away what he naturally did. You can't coach that.
Yeah. So do you think it's just it comes with experience?
Don't change something if it's not broken, and you'll learn that. You'll learn someone. But whatever style they had, they're brilliant balance. Even though the feet were crossing, the head was always above the bum. But it's learning what they do well. But people will go, but this is my style. But you've got a nose broken. You've got two black eyes. If your style's getting brain damage, stick with it. But if you want a long game, or a long career, we've got to change things, because I don't want you being poorly. I want you to grow up and have children and grandchildren.
Yeah.
Well, it was all right in our day. No, it wasn't. It was barbaric then. We should learn from it.
So what's the I'm asking this as a coach. So what is, so it's obviously a fine line between someone doing something incorrectly and having those black eyes and then having, like, I'm just trying to get in my head, like, how would you spot the difference between someone doing it wrong and someone having their Lennox Lewis type style? Am I making sense? Like, how do you make that distinction? How is that just through experience? Is it just like, what is it?
Well, if you look at someone, if we compared Lewis and Tyson, one was 6'6", one was 5'11". If that 6'6" guy is then ducking and crouching and rolling, you're thinking you've given away your greatest asset. If you've got someone like George Foreman trying to do the Ollie shuffle, he can't do it. And I always like to say, remember what dog you are. A whippet can't be a Great Dane. A Great Dane can't be a Staffy. A Staffy can't be a Lurcher. There's nothing wrong with being that dog, but be the best dog that is. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. So it's again, isn't it? It's just all coming down to communication. I think the theme of this convo is communication. It's basically just being absolutely present with your fighter. And this is for all the coaches out there. I think it's we're touching on something really, really powerful here. So it's about being present with your fighter or fighters, whatever it is, and really understanding their mindset
and their capabilities
and their physical side,
their capabilities, their limitations. Because I want to box like Mike Tyson, but you're not Mike Tyson. You're not built like Mike. You're not strong like Mike, and you haven't got the reactions like Mike. Well, I want to box like Mayweather. He had his hand down here, but every shot he's throwing is hitting you. Mayweather could do that because he was so gifted. You've got to work with your strengths. You know what I mean? I can get stronger. I can get faster. But I could run every day. I'm not going to be Mo Farah. You know what I mean? Because that's just not me. I can do the best that Kevin Dillon can do, but I'm not Mo Farah. I'm not Floyd. I'm not Mike. I'm not. So I've just got to aim for the best I am and work with the body and the skill set that I have got.
So have you ever been in a situation, and I'll be surprised if you haven't, have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to tell someone that you're not Mike Tyson and he's just hell-bent on thinking that he is, and no matter what you're saying to him, he's just not listening, or she? How have you dealt with that situation?
Sometimes you can't deal with it. You've got to agree to disagree and step away from each other. Because what's the point of me having an electrician in my house and telling him how to rewire it? I don't know how to wire a house, so I pay him to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you have to, well, my dad tells me, tell your dad to open a boxing club and we'll match our lads with your lads. And that's what it is sometimes. I go to someone for his advice because he knows more about it.
It's actually a form of disrespect indirectly.
Yeah, it is. And some people you're not going to gel with. So wish each other all the best, have a conversation, and say, whenever I see you at a boxing show, I'll root for you. But we just can't work together.
Have you ever told someone that, to part company and say, look, it's been great while it's lasted. Yeah. But look, I think it's now time for you to
go away.
To go your way.
You have to do that because you're in a relationship. And it's not, people say toxic relationships, you can't gel. And all that does, it builds resentment for the coach, because why the bloody hell isn't he listening? And he's there going, well, I'm telling you, I am the next Mike Tyson, because he's going on his own ego and his own delusion. He's not seeing sense. So, but he will be the same at school. He'll be the same in his relationship. He'll be the same at work. sometimes you've got to realise I don't know everything. I'm clever enough to realise I don't know everything and I want to learn. Some people are so pig-headed, they feel like at 20, 40, 100, they know everything. They will never learn.
No, absolutely, yeah. It's a mindset that's against growth. Having that kind of like I know it all mindset is, you're doing yourself a disservice. On the upside, to share a story where someone's just absolutely receptive, they listen to your every word, they're keen to learn, keen to just make the most of their boxing, and what that experience has been like.
I mean, we've got to talk about Osama. Osama, I've had him since he was 10. He's boxed for England since he was 13. And how many upsets he's had, from getting robbed at the Europeans to going to the Worlds to detaching his bicep to having the cuts. But he could win an ABA final on the Sunday, he's back in there on the Monday. He could lose the ABA final on the Sunday, he's back in there on the Monday. He ripped his arm off fighting in a tournament in Spain against the Olympian. Bashing lad up, his arm went, had to have surgery. He was back in there on the Monday, working on his other hand.
Yeah, he was.
But that's the kind of, because he's got this much faith and he's got this so much belief in it's God's plan. But he listens and go, Os, you've just got to put a fraction more weight on your knee. You got to, and he listens and he doesn't suffer fools, but he listens to the right people and he knows he's going to get there. And I love working with him because we film it, we talk and go, how do you feel? And he talks to me and I talk to him. Considering he started off this little Yemeni boy and he's come the Asian
I remember when he first came in. Yeah. I can still remember it. And you calling him Nigel Ben?
Asian Nigel Ben. He goes, who's that? And I went, it's not a criticism. See, he had dynamite with both hands. Then we just polished him and polished him and polished him. And now he's one of the best lads in Europe.
What does that feel like, having a kid come in at 10 and then keep polishing him? Yeah. And then he achieves what like us has achieved.
Well, I love it. When he won the Three Nations, me and my wife and my daughter went and he come out the ring, got a gold medal, took it off his neck and put it on my daughter's. And you feel that's Uncle Osama to my daughter. You know what I mean? And it's great now because when you have him at club level and all this, because of technology, we've got WhatsApp. So wherever he's in the world, in India, in Spain, in Bulgaria, we phone each other for free. When he can't talk, we send each other voice notes because of my eyes. He sends me videos over it, and you're still there on his journey with him because so many times when you've handed him over to England, they're their boxers and they are his boxers, but he's still my baby. And we can still have that communication. And I was on holiday one of the years and I went to Haringey Cup and he said to Josh, and he went, I miss not having Kev on the blower because you're still their comfort blanket. They're still your family. And it's listen to Amanda, listen to your coaches, but you're still there knowing if he's having a wobble, if somebody's going, he's still got you, Uncle Kev, on the end. And that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's love.
It really is. It really is. On that note, what kind of people do you think boxing attracts?
Well, boxing's
what type of person does boxing attract?
You have the bullied, the bully, and the one his dad drags to the gym. You know, the one who's going, my son, I never box, but my son's dying to box. He goes, hey, don't make me box. And occasionally that kid then turns into a boxer. But you have the kid who's the downtrodden, the kid who's got a harness anger, and the kid who's dragged there by force. They're normally the ones. But classism, we think, is it the council estate. Kid, boxing has no boundaries because, especially our club, £2.50. We started off 25 years ago at 50p. We keep it affordable, so anyone can do it. We do 3 daytime sessions in the day. So money hasn't got to be an option. I can't afford the gloves.
Just tell us where Boxing Lions is.
Briley Hill, Bull Street, Briley Hill, by the Merry Hill Centre.
Just off Bretton Lane.
But we're there where you can borrow the gloves, you can borrow skipping ropes. All the gloves that we do sell, we sell it at the same price as we do. I keep going mad at my mum. But she says, we're not here to make money, we're here so people can afford it. Where a t-shirt's £6, where a gum shield's £2, where gloves are 20 quid, but you haven't got to buy it. And if you do box for us, your strips for free, your gloves are for free. You know, we do it so people can afford it. Because when you're working with these people and they've got 3-4 kids, how sad when someone can't do it because they can't afford it.
Yeah, I know.
It should be that game where anyone is welcome.
Mm.
And that's what I love. And it's we've got, once again, every colour, creed, religion in there under one roof. If the world was like a boxing club and you take away all the nonsense and you just have people there talking and breaking bread, it'd be a much happier country and world.
No, it's a family community. I think really epitomise the boxing gym that we have, and in terms of like some of these long-term relationships that we've had at the gym. Like I can't remember like I've been going there for years and I can't stop.
Because
Someone
on my Cape, you've got to be coming like 18, almost 20 years, really.
But I don't think it's quite that long. But it's well over 10 years.
Yeah.
It's well over 10 years, about 13, 14 years.
Mad though, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's been an amazing experience. And I'm just so happy to be part of the family. And I totally agree with everything you're saying. There's just people from all walks of life coming into the gym, you know, in terms of class, gender, ethnicities, and we've just got a great atmosphere in there, and it's just wonderful to be part of.
And that's what most boxing clubs, amateur boxing clubs are.
Yeah.
And it's not just us. I mean, there's some great clubs around the Midlands. Great clubs like the Priory and Old Deal and Merridale and Wolves, and I could name Brooklands. I could name so many. You know what I mean? But they're great clubs because it's based on volunteers who are coming up there, giving up their time, giving their knowledge to something to make it better. And I have people going, well, how do I give back, Kev? And I went, don't give back because we did it because we love you. As long as you're giving it forwards, there's always some poor git getting that love.
Yeah.
And it's giving you a family. And if you've already got a family, it's making your already existing family bigger. But those poor souls who've got no one and nothing, it gives them that beacon of hope and love and showing I haven't just got to be this, I can be so much more. And whether that's a boxer, a coach, or just part of something that's bigger than themselves.
Why do you think that's important?
I think the best friend of any mental health is loneliness. When I feel like I'm the only person who's ever felt like this, it's petrifying. But if you can sit somewhere there going, I come from where you was. My mum left me. I went to jail. I suffered with anxiety. And then you go, wow, it's not just me. You haven't been exactly where I've been, but you've been somewhere similar. Because pain recognises pain. And then once you get over that hurdle, where you realise, I'm not the only broken one. Everyone's broken in some way. Everyone's got that thing they're ashamed or embarrassed about of their own self. So that gives us something that is now something we have in common. I'm not just this broken person. We've all got our things, our hang-ups. And when we break that down, now I'm more open. Now I'm not focused on what I'm broken of, well, what am I good at?
So do you think giving back is what allows that to take place?
It's not just giving back, it's being present. It's being there at the time. Like, so we can give to the future. I can't erase the past, but just being there at the moment of going, I'm here for you right this time that you need me, is brilliant.
Talking about loneliness and you know that those kind of negative frames of mind. Tell us a bit about you've got the hoodie on, Black Country Blokes. We have mentioned Black Country Blokes on the show before.
Yes.
But let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
Well, we started off 2019. I say I've got more baggage than Heathrow Airport, and and I had my problems with addiction and being angry and all the things we've talked about here. And the only way I'd be able to talk.
So there is so just to clarify, Black Country Blokes is basically a result of those emotions we were talking about earlier. That, you know, when you were growing up.
Well, it starts off like, so the only way I'd be able to talk about my problems by drinking too much. And now I'd open up and go, were you all right last night? I'd go, oh, I was just hammered. But really, I wanted to talk about it. And then more I started talking about my problems, people started going, bloody hell, Kev, you're really confident. I didn't realise you suffered with anxiety attacks and depression. And then I was talking to my old pal Lee, who's my partner on the podcast, and he had a very poorly daughter. And he was talking about it, and I went, let's do something. And I got invited to a couple of radio stations to talk about my life. And I thought, bloody hell, I can do this better than you. And I did, and I thought they were asking me questions but weren't listening to the answers. And they were almost demasculating me. They asked me to come on the show and then demasculating me. And I thought, no. It reminded me back at school. Because in life, I've had some great teachers who I've learned from, like Big John and my dad and coach at Worley, Johnny Dix. And I had some terrible teachers. And I learned just as much off the bad teachers as I did off the good teachers. I would never make anyone feel how they made me how they made me feel. So that's why I think that's why I'm a good coach. So then me, Lee, Aaron Jew and Craig Pinch started doing this podcast. And it was designed on getting men to talk. And then it built onto mental health. Then it talked, and then it was just to anyone and anyone. But it was the art of having communications, having these organisations who, because when you're going through the thick of it, you feel alone. But there's so many good organisations out there, but we don't know they exist because they're not advertised in between Britain's Got Talent or Celebrity. It's all on consumerism. But there's so many good people out there. So it's giving their organisations a shout to come on the show and advertise them to help one another. And then we got awards through Dudley CVS. Then we just had the King's Award. So you come to that with some lads from the club.
Yeah, I did.
And then at the end of May, we're going to the Palace.
How was that?
It's going to be amazing. I mean, like, when I got the Hometown Heroes Award and I took the baton on the stage for the Queen to get.
Yeah.
Then I got it again, I run through Brierley Hill through it. And
I remember that, yeah.
But
I remember that.
It's wonderful to have the nod. But if I wanted badges, I'd have stuck in the Cubs. You're not doing it for the accolades. It's lovely.
The accolades just come by the fact you're doing the good work. You know, you get recognised.
But it's like with the ABA champions in the Midlands. It's great when you get them.
Yeah.
But your sole purpose isn't just for that. It's great when the hard work pays off. But you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it to make a difference. And that's because for all the years that I couldn't box and I focused on my boxers achieving something, the radio and the podcast was actually my own accomplishment. It wasn't I'm getting Osama to this. This is a well done to Kevin Dillon. So that was a gold medal for myself. And it was that stand away because some days, you know, I've been doing it for 20 odd years, a lifetime of boxing. But this was something different. It was showing my communicational skills, which you have to do with your one-to-ones and when you're training someone, to public speaking. Every time I'm in front of a class, 30, 40, 50 people, you have to make those people hang on your words. So I've been practicing for this for all of my adult life. So when I do a public speaking now, I do this every day.
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
Second nature.
So they go hand in hand. The Black Country Blokes was built on the shoulders of the Lions.
And it's kind of happened organically, is what I'm getting. It's kind of like just not without you even realising that all this time, these 20 odd years that you've been doing coaching, you know, without you realising, it's just kind of like prepared you for, you know, for the King's Award, you know, for these radio shows that you do, and just you know, the public speaking and the presentation skills, which is actually interesting.
You learn it on the job, don't you?
Yeah, you just
and you harness it like my best mate Chris. Because Kev, the great thing now that you get in on to the bigger radio stations is when you're first starting, you're effing, you're jeffing, but by doing this, you've become more media savvy. You learn if I'm doing a talk in jail, I can be a bit more of a scallywag, but if I'm doing a talk on the radio, I have to really watch my P's and Q's.
Yeah.
But once again, if you're around children, you don't swear. If you're around hairy bottom blokes, who cares what you say?
Yeah.
Learn your audience.
Yeah. And this comes back to boxing, doesn't it? Or to anything, so to speak, for that matter. You're not going to start off being the best.
No.
You just got to take the step, and you just got to be consistent with anything you're doing. And then that the expertise and the proficiency in what you're doing comes over time. And
work like with your coaching. As I said, I started off by bringing on my 5 o'clock class. They're 5 years old then, 5 to 11-year-olds. Now it's 7 upwards because 5's blooming hard. But you bring them on in your way, and then before you know it, you've created a Connor Jones. You've created these. you don't go straight into the best in the gym because they're yours, they're someone else's. So create your champions and then they're yours. You know what I mean? Don't go straight for the ABA champion. Learn your skills because you're still learning. When you're a coach, you're learning on the job, especially your first however many years. But don't be frightened about your mistakes because we learn from mistakes. We're in this thing of failure. Instead of,
no, it's just
don't matter.
Just get on with it.
You learn on the job.
So what do you think makes you a good coach?
Patience, love, learning all the time, being able to have a communication with like the people of Osama, going, well, why are you doing this? Why are you bending your knee? And they go, I understand now, Os, but how about we put this on? So the communication, being able to lead by example and lead people, because you're like my dad always says, you're taking these gladiators into the Colosseum.
Yeah.
They need to trust you. They need to believe in what you're saying because they're petrified. They might dress it up in a different way, but you're taking them in there to have a fight in front of a couple hundred people. They need to trust that Kev, Nico, Josh, Aaron knows what they're on about. And if it goes wrong, are going to look after them.
So what do you think makes, this is connected to what I've just asked you, but what do you think is the difference between like a mediocre coach and a good or a great coach?
I don't know, it's a hard question really, isn't it? It's longevity, I suppose. Being able to...
So having those core skills, patience, love, communication, having that bondship with your fighter, and then longevity, what else?
Longevity, and I'm very lucky because once again I was brought up in a boxing household. So I learned off my dad and Big John, and people like that, and then I put my own spin on it. I mean, when I was there, my dad, Bob Dillon, like firecracker in the corner. Big John is like the Iceman. So I learned from two brilliant cornermen how to react. And there's a place in time for both of them. So it's learning. And sometimes when you hand up to other clubs, going, how does he do this? So never feel like you know everything. Always be willing to learn and put that knowledge into what you're already doing. So, just because I've always done this way doesn't mean I've always got to do it this way. That serves its purpose for that time, but now maybe we can still improve it because the game's always evolving.
I think that connects back to what we were saying earlier about having, when we were talking about fighters or the boxers, of having that closed mind and having that open mind. So if you're going to think my way is the right way, and I've been doing this for like, I don't know, X amount of years, so this is the only way there is to coaching, you're deluding yourself. There's you're not going to...
But we've seen how amateur boxers training, because it was always point scoring. You hit me twice, I hit you once, you're 1 point up. That was how boom back boom was invented. It's a game of tag, hit them, make them miss, hit them, make them miss. But now, because we're going more towards the pro style of sheer aggression, so we want to keep our shape, our guard, so we're not falling and just having a row, but we know we've got to have a higher output. Because I'm tired of, we're in there with a great 1-2 and he swings a big swing over and he wins the fight. So we've got to have better shields to defend, but we've got to outwork him. We can't just be on the back foot pinching points.
I think that's really interesting distinction you've made there. That's actually, like, I didn't know that, in terms of like boom back boom and then this new kind of
aggressive
kind of idea. No,
so we have to evolve to the times, because otherwise we're going to keep losing. We've got to keep our theory of guard, shape, balance, but now we've just got to have a high output, because when I'm just trying to dance around and pinch rounds, it's going to go to his way, because even though he's missing and he's in my arms, he looks like he's got a bigger output. So we've got to meet his output, but on clean work still.
Why do you think that they've made this transition?
I don't know.
Why do you think
that is? Don't know. Because they want us to have a pro style, but they've got 6, 8, 10, 12 rounds. Well, we've only got 3 rounds. And sometimes, because like as a senior now, the head guys come up and again cut to buggery because they're just falling in with the head instead of working on the skills. amateur boxing, professional boxing are two different sports. Amateur boxing is like a sprint. Bah, 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 bah. So I've got 3 rounds. Professional boxing is more of a marathon. Boom, boom. Have a round off. Have a round off. Boom, boom. Pinch a round. Have a big round. Whereas we've always been a high work rate. Pinch, boom, boom, boom. Boom, back, boom, step. Boom, 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 step. But now it's just fall in and get messy. And sometimes if you're 2 rounds down, I've only got a stoppage. I personally prefer the odd click of the points. Keep us there on the skill factors instead of just aggressive, because you're seeing people now at the end of their amateur career have got bad scar tissue all around here where they're filling on the head before they've even made a penny of being pro.
Do you think it's the way they judge it that's made this kind of again, it's just kind of happened, this transition, or do you think it's actually someone's actually in amateur boxing has actually said, look, let's take this down a different route?
I'm not really sure. I think there's a lot of incompetence in the game. I think there's some great judges in the game, but there's a lot of bad ones who still judges on the pros instead of thinking with 2 different sports. And like, as you know, on a coaching course, the scoring area in my face to my body, and it can only score with the knuckle part of the glove with force. But sometimes they hit which called a slap with the inside of the glove to the non-scoring area, and the crowd go, "Ooh!" and they go, "Oh, he's won that round." Go, but it wasn't a scoring shot. Okay. And they allowed the crowd to judge it instead of going, "Well, that wasn't a scoring shot." Or is it 15 punches, but he's gone forearm, glove, elbow, so nothing scored because but he was busier. But what's the point of learning how to block, parry, wedge, slip if they're not scoring?
If it's not, you know, if you're not able to, because it's a skill.
It's a skill, not getting
so
it.
So if you're doing that and not getting rewarded, I think that's what you're getting at. If you're doing it and not getting rewarded, then
he's thrown 15, but I've blocked all of them. But I've hit him with 2 crackers down the middle. I'm still up because not one hit the scoring area. Wolves can play Man U, play the best game of their life, but if Man United keeps putting the ball in the net, Man U's won. And that's how boxing should be. It's the style, the skill, but who is hitting the scoring area the most? Who's ever getting hit the most in the scoring area has won. You know, whoever's punching the most in the scoring area has won. Whether I'm a Lomachenko, zigzagging, whether I'm a Mike Tyson, who hits who the most should win.
Do you think he's taking the skill level out?
I do, personally.
Because that's what it sounds like to me, because
aggression's key. And that's not our way of boxing. So you're seeing boxing, as in skillful boxing clubs, falling behind on just aggressive, come forward, swinging fighters.
It's a shame. It really is a shame. On that note, what do you... we've mentioned white collar on this show before and made the distinction between them. I'd love to hear your opinion on... People have heard my opinion on white collar. I want to get your opinion on white collar.
I don't like white collar.
Just tell us why.
Because it's unregulated. Unregulated with the weights, experience, and everything. In amateur boxing, you have to be on the same weight, experience, X, Y, and Z. There's a sanctioning body. But if I'm perfectly honest, what men do, up to them. Let men go and fight, go and do whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
When it's children and teenagers, I strongly disagree with it because the Child Welfare Act and Child Protection Act. And when I hear about children fighting teenagers and teenagers fighting men.
Does that even happen at that level?
Yeah. 15-year-olds will be fighting 30-year-olds. We've got a couple of lads at the club before they came to us, and they didn't know it was white collar because they just see it as boxing, semi-professional boxing.
Oh my God.
So they've gone there and a 15-year-old...
I thought I'd heard all the horror stories of white collar.
A lad called Tom Curtis, he was fighting a man. And other ones I'll tell you off camera, but you're thinking, that's when it's terrible. As I say, whatever hairy-ass men and women want to do, let them go and do it. It's dangerous, but at least they kind of know what they're doing. But when it's children, it's terrible. Because it's our duty of care to look after our babies. And when it's an 8-year-old fighting a 12-year-old, it's terrible. Because they've got that testosterone, that bit of puberty, Whereas one still in primary school.
Yeah, nice.
It's barbaric.
How is this even allowed? Like, how
It's not
do they?
allowed. What happened was, when white collar started, they found a legal loophole. It was basically, I'm in accounts, you're in finance. We've never boxed, so we're going to do a bit of a boxing camp. We're going to have massive head guards. We're going to have 16-ounce gloves, and we're going to have a box. There's no winner and loser. It was an exhibition bout, and we put all the money to cancer, or we put it to whatever.
Okay.
But then the people saw it. Or you'd have Bob Monkhouse would fight Les Dennis. You know, they'd do that to raise money for comic relief. But then the gangs and everyone got into it, and they found a legal loophole. We hadn't got to be a part of the sanctioned body. And when it first happened, when all this happened, you weren't allowed to turn professional, or you weren't allowed to go to amateur. But then people are spineless, so they let it to happen, and they let it to happen. But once again, as long as it's safe, because boxing's a dangerous old game. I don't want people having brain damage. I don't want people losing their eye. I bumped into someone on the doors the other week. I was up in Birmingham. He came up to me and goes, "Oh, Kev used to train me at the boxing academy." And he goes, "I lost my eye." I went, "How you doing?" He goes, I was white collar. I got blind in my eye. And I thought, that shouldn't happen. There I've known people who were learning impaired, and God bless him, Rob Rolls, who's no longer with us, he used to box for me, had a brain tumour. They'd signed him up for a white collar. We talked him out of it. I was thinking, but they're allowing this thing to happen. Because you're making...
Is that he was fighting that whilst having the brain
He wanted to have a bout. They'd signed him up for a fight, and we talked him out of it. You know what I mean? Because he said, but the promoter knew. The promoter knew he had this. Because
and he was just going to carry on.
Let him get on.
Crazy.
But you're making your pimp money, and that's what they see you as cattle. They see you as long as you're making them bread, they don't care about you. And when money gets involved, that's when it's dangerous. But if you're willing for that to happen, you do it. And I've had loads of people who've gone white collar, seeing what it's all about, and then come to amateur. So if that's how it's going to be,
we've had it here. Where you know, on the show, we've had young guys, you know, Gorton, Orion, come from white collar to amateur boxing, and the transition.
Yeah.
If you watch the videos, the transition's been, you know, it was like an interesting transition for them, and they didn't know what was, you know, they didn't know that
they didn't know
this was white collar and the difference between white collar and amateur, and that's one of the reasons why I mention it so you know so much, and that's why I wanted your take on it because people just don't have that they can't make the distinction between amateur boxing and white collar boxing. So no, thank you for that.
And to anyone out there who is listening to you, go and ask, go and say what qualifications have you got to the coach? Are you affiliated with the ABA or IEBA? Have you done your safeguarding? Have you done your first aid? Have you got your DFib? Have you got this? Because boxing ain't like any other sport. It's a dangerous game. And where people are punching with bad intent and you could get physically hurt, you want to make sure...
It's not worth the risk.
No.
So there you go, guys. Just be careful before you pursue a bout. Just find out exactly what it is you're getting yourself into. And
if you get there and you go, I'm a non-bouter, and what's he done? Oh, he's had 20 bouts and he's 10k heavier than me, and you're going, no. Because don't let your ego get you killed.
Exactly. You know, there you go, guys. Don't let your ego get you killed.
Well, you know, you lose your eyesight, or you 9 out of 10, you got work the next day. You got a family. And it's, I didn't want to let everyone down. Don't let your fights pick you. You pick your fights.
Yeah, true.
And with amateur boxing, Legion is going to be around 2k. You know, you're going to have that. He's not going to be a lot heavier, or it's going to be matched accordingly.
So in terms of what's a typical coaching session that you do? What's a typical coaching session look like?
I mean, we do like our 3 daytime classes, 10:30, 12:00, 11, Monday to Friday, every day. And I mean, I like boxing, to be involved in boxing. It's very easy to do bag, shad, skip. But anyone can do that. You can do that in any gym, hit the bag, do a bit of shadow boxing. In my opinion, learning people, the quality of punch, movement, defense, get them there, because people want to learn how to punch and how to defend themselves. So it's learning, your balance, your shape, your guard, how to stand, how to rotate, how to lock my arms out, and then it's how to block, how to parry. And then once you've got the skills of that, then you go and do your bag, your shit, your shadow, your exercises. And then once you're ready, then we might think about doing some control sparring, maybe body sparring or lead hand sparring. And then we build up to open sparring. And then if you're good enough again, maybe then you box. But you have to box and train at your level.
If there was one lesson that you could scream to your amateur boxers, what would that one lesson be?
Believe in the process. Some people are going to get there faster than others. Look at Super Zane. Super Zane was a senior boxer who was 48 kilograms. There wasn't many in the country. There's more 148 kilogram men out there. So he wasn't having many bouts a year because there wasn't that many. I would have put in the under 10s, so there's no longer under 10s. There's the under 20s, but you needed 5 bouts.
So just to clarify for the viewers and listeners, by under 10 you mean under 10 bouts?
So they got rid of the under 10 bouts and then they had the 20 bouts. But you need to have 5 bouts to go in the under 20 bouts. So we had to wait for him to have 5 bouts to put him in there. You put him in there and he won it. But some people, you have to box at different levels because some people that say 60k, you're not going to put them in under 20 bouts because there's hundreds. So you have to believe in the process and in the coach's plan. What I'm trying to say is you go, Rob, we're going to be here 5 years, why haven't I had a go? Because you're overweight or you've picked up slower than him or you're too short or you're too this or... Don't let your ego dictate your future.
Just
have faith in yourself, have faith in your coach, and have faith in the process. It hasn't got to be rushed. When we rush things, it doesn't happen. The fastest way of getting it right is by doing it right in the first place. And sometimes we rush into sport and we have a good hiding, and we rush into a bout and we get stopped, and we rush into going into championships. And have faith in your coach, and it happens when it's right.
And on that note, how about coaching tips for any tips that you can share from your vast experience for new coaches?
Listen, learn. Don't be afraid of doing a mistake. Because sometimes, I don't want to take him on the pads because just try it. Take it there. Now, I always think when you start with your new boxers, when you're beginning, left hand, right hand, when they come better, take it all on one pad, but you'll figure your process out.
Your style.
Your style. But start with the beginners because you'll know more than them. And then you gradually, as you get better, you work with better boxers because your knowledge is getting better and better. But keep it simple. Sometimes there's 9 times out of 10, there ain't nothing wrong with just a straight 1-2 and working on his balance. But we feel like we're going to go 1-2, slip side, uppercut. And you're thinking, flipping heck.
Just stick to the basics.
Keep it basic.
Keep it basic.
Keep it basic. A, they learn faster. And B, you'll learn on the job, you'll progress and get better. And then you start putting more muck on the shovel. But enjoy the process. Because we're doing it for nothing. You've got to enjoy your hobbies.
Yeah, exactly. How long do you think you'll do this for?
I think as long as I'm alive, boxing will always be a part of my life. But it's great now having like you, Chris, Josh, Jay, all the lads around me. So I haven't got to be going to boxing shows all weekend. It's great that I can go to the championships when I want to, because sometimes I want to see my own daughter grow up. And how many times I've had to miss weddings and funerals. And
so there's a lot of dedication, isn't there?
A lot of dedication. You're not just in the club, you're at the shows, you're there and then your phone's ringing, you're organising boxing shows, you're organising sparring. So it's great when you can delegate and give people jobs. And it's not being too precious good. Well, I've got to take it. You're going, there's certain people you're going to take in because you'll always have, but otherwise going, you take him in. You now go on your journey with him and her and create your memories. And I'm here to hand up the bucket if you need me. If you're worried, if you're anxious, if you're unsure, you ask me. Because how I asked my dad and how he asked his coach. Knowledge is there to be given and to be shared with, not to be held on to.
Exactly. And this is something that people I don't think realise, just the level of dedication that it takes. Because it's like you've mentioned a number of times now that no one's getting paid. We're all doing it for just giving back, or for, we enjoy it. It's a hobby. It's one of the two, I think, in my opinion, and that people are doing it. And I think from a parent's point of view, or from that guy or girl that's been coming to the gym for X amount of time and isn't getting that, doesn't feel like that they're progressing, needs to put things into perspective, I think, because it takes a lot of dedication from someone running a gym, and then from a coach's point of view, and everything going on in terms of boxes and so on and what have you. So it just, I think people just need to put that into perspective and just believe in the process, and they'll get their chance.
Exactly. And show the coaches that you want it, that you are working hard. If you turn around and he's talking or not doing it, every time you look at him, you go, you know what? Let's give him or her a chance, because every time he's doing 10 press-ups, he doesn't finish until he's done it. He's the first one on the rope. He's the last one doing exercises, and he shows me that they want it. Because even though we're dedicated on looking at the boxers and the sparring, you are still looking around, and you've got to make us want to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the times I find people come in, and I'll talk to them, and they want to be sparring.
Yeah.
In their first session.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, horses, mate.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to just be consistent if you really want this. Like, how badly do you want it? And I often say that to people. You got to think about how badly you want it, and you just got to show us consistency. And you do that, I'll guarantee you
have a chance.
I'll guarantee you'll get your chance. But don't expect to be sparring next week, because people just think it's like anyone can throw a punch, and anyone can just swing their arm, but not anyone can throw a punch the way they're supposed to, or and I think that sometimes people miss that, and it's just like it just makes me laugh.
And as much as you're trying to bash him up, you forget he's also trying to bash you up.
So you need to be at a level where you can actually, like you were saying earlier, to be able to defend yourself, parry, slip, whatever you need to do. Have you? What's your experience been like around that? Is that something you can sort of relate to?
Yeah. Well, you'll have like some people that go, "Oh, my Kevin's dying to spar," and he goes, "I ain't Kev, please don't make me get in there." I remember when I was young and hot-headed, we had this dad, and he goes, "I want my lad getting in there, you'll toughen him up." I went, "Oh," I went, "Get your gloves on." He went, "Why?" I went, "I'm going to bash you up for 3 rounds." And he went, "Why?" I went, "I went, it'll toughen you up, won't it?" And he goes, "I don't want you to." And then, why on earth would you allow your baby, you love more than anything, to get hurt? And some people live their life for their children. You've had your chance. Allow your baby to enjoy life.
Yeah. And
don't rush them. Because I've got a daughter, and if someone said, "Kev, I think your daughter's ready to box," I'd go, "Are you sure? Are you sure she's ready?" I wouldn't be going, "She's ready," because I don't want her to get hurt.
Yeah.
My job as a parent is to protect her, not to put her in harm's way. And if you said, "Kev, I think she's ready," I'll go, "Nick, are you sure? You're going to look after her, aren't you? Please don't get me baby hurt." Not go and get a boss because he'll make a woman out of her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's so true. Yeah, so true. Just on a final note, just share. So, and you've probably already touched on it, but just a memorable, something that really sticks out in your mind from your boxing career so far. There's one moment, one memorable memory that you could that sticks out. Just share that.
I mean, the first time Conor Jones, he was my first national champion. And once again, I didn't have the
Conor Jones was your first national champion.
He was my first national champion. I never had the confidence to take him in. He was Dad and Big John. Where I stood there, and I remember his dad and me holding each other and sobbing, sobbing. And then he went that same year and won the Three Nations. And once again, me and his dad sobbing with each other. And that was, but it was that first time. Conor was 12 years younger than me, and he won it at 12. So I'd have been about, early 20s.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And then you're thinking, wow, it was so amazing. You remember your first at anything's always memorable, isn't it? When you're thinking, flipping heck, you know, what have we created here?
Wow. Thank you very much.
Brother, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin.